Hi there, everyone. Welcome to our presentation on our action plan. Just to quickly introduce yourselves, my name is Brennan Hayes. I'm a graduate student here at ASU. On our team, we also have Amy Pate, who is the Associate Director of the Teaching Innovation Center. And we also have Dr. Nico Franz, who is the professor of the course and the director of the bio collections. So the course that we're working on is Bio 386, General Entomology, which is a general overview on the form, activities, and classifications of insects. So looking at inclusive pedagogy and what it means for us, it's all about adapting our ways of instruction to embrace and highlight and work within differences in order to create an environment that we feel serves all people. We really benefited from the training that was provided for us through these modules in a lot of ways. One of the most important ways was for us learning about how student input is key for true representation. Amy, Nico, and I cover a wide swath of people from different backgrounds and different groups, but we don't cover everything. And so actively working and collaborating with students, asking for feedback, asking for ways that we can improve, really looking at students and their ability to increase our ability to create a more inclusive course, because that's by collaborating with them, we can hopefully achieve true representation. Recognizing the importance of tone and respect and communication, that we need to help students understand that not only do we respect them as students, but we respect them as scientists, that they to us are scientists. And when they engage with us in this coursework, that's where we're coming from. And that by doing so, students feel that they have not only a place to sit and listen, but also a place to participate and collaborate and work and discuss with us. And perhaps one of the most important ones is that while it's wonderful to talk about inclusivity and ways that we can achieve this through various means, the most important thing is the creation of those direct and actionable items. That we really worked on creating things that are specific to the course that we think will help the course, because we realize that that's the most important thing for students, is actually applying the things that we're talking about. So talking about inclusive instruction, which is just instruction that encourages all students to collaborate and work with us, we had a couple areas of concern. First was that students may be just limited in their ability to fully participate in the course as it's currently designed, that some of the content might actually be actively harmful in engaging students, and that some of the assignments may not benefit all of the students equally. Ways that we want to adjust for this are by really critically analyzing our current fieldwork, recognizing that fieldwork is so important, but that we have to really understand how is the fieldwork designed as it currently stands, and how can we adapt it to be more inclusive. Looking at our abilities around like ride sharing, for example, around where are we picking where we go? Are we really considering what type of vehicles can get there? Things of that nature. Reviewing course material for concepts, wording, and phrases that might exclude or alienate students. A very specific example that we're really looking at and talking about recently was, we talk about in applied entomology, for example, we talk about invasive species, and we often talk about this as with very biased language. It's these species are dangerous or harmful. They are damaging the ecosystem and local communities and industry. And is the way that we're talking about these invasive species, which are foreign invasive species, we talk about where they're from, their original areas, and does that potentially cross-contaminate some of this biased language for these insects to the people from those areas, and vice versa. And so analyzing how discussing insects, which carry such historical significance and cultural importance, how, when we discuss them with biased language, is that impacting various groups of people? And then really looking into our final collection project. It's a wonderful project, 100 insects collected. It's wonderful, students love it, but it's not possible for everybody. How can we adapt it where that's necessary? And if a simple slight adaptation isn't possible, and that's really detracting from what the student is getting back out of it, we have to create a clear alternative for students in order to ensure that students are getting just as much out of that project as the originally designed project. This leads us sort of into inclusive content design, which is really creating content that is designed towards specific students and specific groups, like the personas that we've discussed. So some of the issues that we had were that some of the course content might exclude students due to the language, and some of the course content may exclude students due to lack of accessibility. So a sort of example that would cover both of those is we have a lot of videos that we use, and many of these videos are quite old. And so are these videos, do they contain jokes and language that is outdated and harmful to students and their perception of the course? Are these old videos even closed captions? Do we have access to closed captions? If we don't, do we have to create closed captions, or should we actually just drop that video entirely and instead record our own content that covers the same material, but in a more updated fashion? And so that's kind of a medium to long term, really looking at can we begin to question recording our own content, creating new content, and if that's necessary for us. And last, we want to talk about inclusive activities and engagement. So this is all about creating activities and engagement that is natural for students and peers, for student and instructor interactions. That all feels natural and it's collaborative with the students and really creating those opportunities. So something that we have a concern of is that here at ASU, not many courses have a lot of fieldwork that's consistent, and especially in the freshman and sophomore undergraduate years, there's really not much. And so by the time students get to Bio 386, we're sometimes often their first course that has consistent fieldwork. So how do we honor that place and respect that and help wade students into a very new experience for them in a way that is both beneficial for them, and it respects their differences as students, respects the fact that this is a new experience for them, and as inclusive as possible. Our fieldwork is currently voluntary, and so really maintaining that, helping students feel as though they are allowed to kind of come in and test the waters on their own, we think is important, but making sure that students know that this is encouraged, that we really want them to be there. We want them to experience fieldwork. We think that that's important, and making sure that our fieldwork is designed in such a way that it's very possible for all students to go. Now, when students can't go on fieldwork, we want to make sure that we have alternatives that provide just as much content and value. For example, one of the biggest values of fieldwork is the ability to speak and work and collaborate with your instructor who's right there in the field with you, either Nico or the TAs. And so how do we create alternatives for the fieldwork that also facilitate that same concept of collaborative peer working, of working with your instructor, getting to know them? Those are really important things for biologists to get to experience. And so how do we replicate that if students are able to undergo fieldwork with us? So that's something we really want to look into it and look at. And basically just creation of alternative course content that's of equal value in all ways, including that. We feel that our current trajectory is really centered around fieldwork. It's really centered around modifying that course content where it's needed for more accessibility, for changing language, for changing how we perceive, for example, insects in terms of bias. And additionally, identifying ways to build trust and confidence in students from disenfranchised groups, helping them feel like you belong here, we want you here, and not only do we respect you as students, but we respect you as scientists. I really appreciate the opportunity to get to present on this. Thank you very much.